The Girl Who Laughed at Her Own Funeral. Everyone swore the coffin was nailed shut. Everyone swore the girl inside had been dead 3 days, her veins drained and her skin cold. Yet when the priest whispered, "Ashes to ashes, dust to dust," a sound cracked through the silence, high, jagged, and echoing from inside the coffin. It wasn't a sob. It wasn't a scream. It was laughter. Her laughter. And though the lid never moved, though her body never stirred, the girl laughed so hard the wood shook, and those closest swore they heard her whisper, "Don't bury me yet. I haven't finished watching you."
The church smelled of wax and lilies. White candles flickered along the altar, their flames straining in invisible drafts. People filled the pews, dressed in black, their faces damp with tears. At the front, the coffin rested on a platform draped in velvet. Inside, Evelyn Morrow lay still, her skin pale as marble, lips painted the color of roses left too long in the sun. 17 years old, too young, too sudden. Her mother wept silently into a crumpled handkerchief. Her father's eyes, bloodshot and hollow, stared straight ahead. The priest's voice wavered. "Though we walk through the valley of the shadow of death, we will fear no—" A noise interrupted him. Soft. At first, almost nothing. But it grew. A sharp exhale, a stifled giggle. Then, laughter. Everyone froze. The sound came from the coffin. It wasn't muffled, as though it came through wood. No, it was clear, sharp, alive, as if Evelyn herself had taken the pulpit and mocked them all. Her mother's hand shot to her mouth. A cousin screamed. The priest dropped his Bible, the pages fluttering like frantic wings. The coffin rattled, not violently, but enough that those closest stumbled backward, enough that every candle flame bent sideways, enough that the lilies toppled from their vase, spilling water across the marble floor. And in the middle of the screams, the gasps, the cries, Evelyn's voice carried. Her laughter was wrong. It wasn't the laugh of the girl they remembered, the sweet, bubbling giggle of youth. It was ragged, stretched too wide, full of mockery. A laughter that belonged to something that hated them all. Then came words, clear, chilling words. "Don't bury me yet. I haven't finished watching you."
The coffin had been buried by dusk. Despite the chaos, despite the screams, the family insisted the funeral continue. The priest's hands shook as he read the final rites. Evelyn's laughter had stopped as suddenly as it began, leaving behind only silence that felt heavier than any hymn. No one spoke of it openly afterward. They whispered in corners, muttering about nerves, about tricks of the mind, about grief driving people to hear things that weren't real. But the truth lay behind their eyes. They had all heard it, every last one of them. That night, Evelyn's parents sat in their home, the curtains drawn, the house swollen with silence. Her mother clutched Evelyn's childhood blanket, as if it could breathe warmth back into her. Her father poured whiskey into a glass and stared at the wall, saying nothing. The clock in the hall ticked too loud. And then, A giggle, soft, from the upstairs hallway. Her mother's head snapped up, eyes wide, lips trembling. Did you hear?" Her father set his glass down slowly. He did not answer. The sound came again, this time lower, a rasping chuckle, drawn out, dripping through the house like water through cracks. They didn't move. They just listened. Then, something heavier followed, the creak of footsteps. Upstairs, in Evelyn's room. Her mother rose instantly, heart racing. She's dead," her father cut in, his voice stern but broken. "It's in your head." But when the laughter came again, louder, playful, from behind the closed bedroom door, they both froze. The house went still, every wall holding its breath. Then the door upstairs slammed shut with a force that rattled the windows. Her mother screamed. Her father grabbed her by the arm, dragging her toward the front door, though his own legs trembled. They stumbled outside into the night air, both pale and shaking, as if they had just fled a fire. From the upstairs window, Evelyn's light flicked on. And though the glass was closed, though the curtains were drawn, the faint sound of laughter floated down into the street. By morning, her parents tried to convince themselves they had imagined it. Grief was a cruel disease, they told each other, and it infected the ears and mind. They didn't mention the footsteps. They didn't mention the slamming door. But neither of them dared to go upstairs. It was Evelyn's little brother, Thomas, who wandered up the staircase first. He was only 10, small and restless, too young to know that silence was safer than curiosity. His bare feet padded along the wooden steps until he stood outside her bedroom door. The door was shut. A faint hum drifted through the crack, like someone singing off-key. Thomas whispered, "Evelyn?" The humming stopped. For a long second, there was nothing. Then came a reply. A girl's voice, muffled but clear. "Come in, Tommy." He froze. His heart rattled against his chest. She sounded the same, almost, a little slower, a little deeper. But it was her. Thomas reached for the doorknob, and the door swung open on its own. Her room looked untouched, the bed neatly made, dolls sitting in their places, posters on the wall smiling down with faded cheer. But the air was wrong, thick, cold. In the middle of the bed lay Evelyn's stuffed rabbit, the one she used to carry everywhere. Its button eyes stared at him. Then its head twisted, slowly, deliberately. Thomas stumbled back, whimpering. The rabbit's stitched mouth stretched, threads snapping, pulling wider until it looked like a jagged grin. And from that grin came her laugh. High-pitched, sharp, Evelyn's laugh. Thomas ran, screaming for his parents. By the time they rushed upstairs, the rabbit sat motionless on the bed, stitches neat, face blank. Nothing stirred. But when Thomas clung to his mother's skirt and sobbed, insisting he heard her, that he saw her, his father whispered one thing under his breath, so low only his wife heard. "She told him to come in."
Thomas wouldn't sleep that night. His parents tucked him in, whispered soothing words, and left his lamp on. But the shadows were too big. The silence was too loud. Every time he closed his eyes, he swore he heard it. Soft giggles seeping from the walls, rising up from the floorboards, crawling down from the ceiling. Evelyn's laugh. Near midnight, the lamp flickered. The bulb hissed, then popped, drowning his room in darkness. Thomas sat up, heart pounding. "Evelyn?" he whispered. The closet door creaked open. From inside came a ragged, wheezing chuckle. It rose and fell like broken breathing until it became a full, throaty laugh. Thomas clutched his blanket to his chest. "You're not real," he muttered, voice shaking. "You're dead." The laughter stopped. Then her voice, clear as if she were sitting at the end of his bed. "Then why are you talking to me?" The closet door banged shut. His toy cars rolled from the shelves, clattering across the floor in violent bursts. The curtains lifted as if pulled by invisible hands, slapping against the glass. Thomas screamed for his mother. The door flew open and she rushed in, gathering him in her arms. "Shh, it's okay, baby." But Thomas buried his face against her shoulder, shaking his head violently. "She's here, she's laughing at me." She hushed him, rocking him gently, though her own eyes darted to the closet. And in the silence between his sobs, she heard it too. A low giggle, muffled but unmistakable, curling through the walls. Evelyn was still in the house, and she wasn't done.
The Morrow house had always been warm. Even in winter, it smelled faintly of cinnamon and wood polish, the walls holding years of birthdays, Christmases, and laughter. But now the walls held something else. The laughter came first, always laughter, sometimes faint, like a whisper under the floorboards, sometimes sharp, echoing down the hallway as if Evelyn were running just ahead, out of sight. Then came the sounds of movement, doors opening when no one touched them, plates rattling in cupboards, the television turning on by itself, flickering static in the dark. Her parents tried to smother it with denial. "It's the pipes," her father muttered. "It's the wind," her mother whispered. But then the mirrors began to change. In the bathroom, her mother caught her reflection smiling when her own face was pale and still. The grin was wide, cruel, Evelyn's grin. In the hallway mirror, Thomas saw her standing behind him, her head tilted at an unnatural angle, her mouth split open in silent laughter. When he turned, nothing was there. But when he looked back, his reflection was still smiling. By the third night, sleep was impossible. Every corner of the house felt alive. The air buzzed like static. The scent of lilies rotted into something sour. At 2 a.m., the house awoke with a bang. Every door slammed shut at once. Windows rattled, picture frames crashed to the floor, glass shattering across the wood. From Evelyn's room came the sound of her voice, high and gleeful, singing the lullaby her mother used to hum to her as a child. Only now the tune was jagged, twisted, each note ending in a shriek of laughter. Her parents finally broke. He stormed up the stairs, fists clenched, shouting, "Enough! You're not my daughter!" The house fell silent. Then, from Evelyn's room, the doorknob began to turn, slowly. The door creaked open, though no one touched it. And in the dark, her laughter poured out like a wave, so loud and sharp it rattled the very bones of the house. Her father couldn't take it anymore. The nights of pounding laughter, the mirrors that lied, the doors that opened by themselves. He had to see her. He stormed up the stairs, past the hallway where shadows curled unnaturally, past Thomas's bedroom, where his son clutched the blanket over his head, rocking silently. Every step made the floorboards moan. He reached Evelyn's door. His hands shook as he gripped the knob. "Evelyn!" he shouted, voice cracking. "Come out! I don't care if you're dead! Come out!" The door opened slowly. Nothing was visible, only darkness. Then the laughter came. Not from behind the door, not from inside, but from inside him. A whisper curled around his mind. "You can't see me, Father, but I see you." The lights flickered. Shadows slithered across the walls like black water. He could feel her moving, circling, breathing just beyond his reach. I won't let you," he stammered. Then the room was full of mirrors, dozens of them, each reflecting a version of Evelyn, her eyes wide, lips split in that impossible grin, staring back at him from every angle. Suddenly, one reflection stepped forward. Not the glass, but the girl herself. Pale, motionless in body, yet alive in spirit. Her voice cut like knives. "You buried me too soon." The father reeled, hands over his ears, but the sound penetrated every corner of his mind. The laughter grew, faster, sharper, louder. Objects flew through the room, books, vases, chairs, hurling themselves at him, then vanishing before they hit. Evelyn's eyes glinted like shards of glass. She was everywhere. She was nothing. She was inside him. The last thing he saw, before the room collapsed into darkness, was her mouth moving in perfect sync with his thoughts. "Now you belong to me too." And then she was gone. After that night, the house became a prison. Her mother stopped sleeping. The bed felt cold and wrong, as if Evelyn had already claimed it. Every shadow twisted into her daughter's grin. Every whisper of wind became a voice calling her name. Thomas refused to leave her side. "Mom," he said, eyes wide, "she's watching us. She wants us too." Her mother tried to brush it off. "It's just grief, Thomas. That's all it is." But grief had a smell now, sour, thick, clinging to the walls. The first real sign came in the kitchen. Plates rattled and slid across the counters, knives leaping from drawers. The stove clicked on by itself, flames burning blue instead of orange. Then came the laughter. High, jagged, echoing through the pipes, curling around their throats. Evelyn's voice. "Come play with me. Don't leave me alone." Her mother covered Thomas with her body, trembling. "We're leaving," she said, but even as she spoke, the front door slammed, hard, locked. Invisible hands had trapped them inside. From the hallway came footsteps, not soft, heavy, deliberate, pacing, circling. Thomas screamed, but his mother couldn't find him in the dim light. Then the bedroom door creaked open. Inside, Evelyn sat on the edge of the bed. She didn't move, but her eyes glinted in the dark. Her mouth opened, and the air filled with laughter, so unnatural it made the walls bend, as if reality itself were twisting. "Don't you love me anymore?" Her voice, sweet and cruel at once, reverberated in their chests. The mother shook her head. We love you. Please, stop this." The laughter intensified. Objects in the room began to float, books, toys, lamps. The air itself seemed heavy, pressing down on them. Evelyn tilted her head, watching, as though amused by their fear. Thomas sobbed, "Mom, she's not gone. She's never going to leave us." The mother could only hold him, rocking, praying, while the giggles grew into full-throated cackles that shook the walls, shook the house, shook their very souls. And in that laughter, she heard it clearly, whispered like ice in her ear. By the 8th night, the house no longer felt like a home. Walls bled shadows, floors warped beneath their feet, and the air buzzed with 1,000 whispered giggles. Every object, every reflection, every corner held her. Evelyn was no longer a girl. They all understood that now. She was something else, something hungry. Her mother clutched Thomas tightly, moving from room to room, but the rooms themselves seemed to stretch, elongate, and twist. Doors led to hallways that didn't exist. Windows opened onto the dark, impossible void beyond the walls. And the laughter followed them. From the basement came the sound of dragging. From the attic, footsteps pacing in perfect rhythm. From the walls themselves, whispers, "You can't hide, you're mine." Thomas screamed, clutching his ears, "Mom, she's everywhere!" The mother could no longer think. Logic, reason, reality, it all crumbled. She saw her reflection in the kitchen window and froze. Evelyn stared back at her, mouth split impossibly wide, eyes black as night, teeth sharp and jagged. The house shuddered. A low groan like the bones of the building itself were cracking, echoed through every room. Chandeliers swayed, glass clinking, then shattering. Furniture levitated, then slammed down with crushing force. And in the middle of it all, Evelyn's voice rang. "You tried to bury me, but I've come back. I laugh at your fear. I laugh at your pain. I laugh at your helplessness." Her mother sobbed, Thomas trembled, and through it all, Evelyn laughed. At their terror, at their despair, at their very souls. The Morrow family no longer moved through the house. They were dragged through it. Every hallway seemed to pulse with her heartbeat. Every shadow shifted, forming her silhouette. Every mirror reflected not them, but her. Thomas no longer spoke. His small body trembled constantly, eyes wide, staring at corners where nothing should have been. His mother whispered prayers that went unanswered. Evelyn appeared wherever she wished. One moment she was on the staircase, laughing as though she had just tumbled down in delight. The next, she crouched in the hallway, watching them with impossible patience, whispering, "You can't escape. You never could." Objects flung themselves at them. Plates spun in the air. Knives hovered mid-air. Furniture crashed. Every corner of the house became her playground. The mother tried to scream, but her voice was swallowed. Her hands clawed at walls that seemed to breathe, that pulsed and tightened around her. She fell to the floor, rocking, trying to shield Thomas, but he had grown cold, distant, as if he already knew they were lost. From the darkness came her laughter, so loud it hurt the ears, so close it felt like it was inside their skulls. Evelyn's words slithered into their minds. "I buried myself once, and you thought it would end, but death is nothing. I am everything now. You will laugh with me, or you will scream alone." The mother tried to run. Thomas followed blindly. Every hallway twisted. The doors led to rooms that didn't exist. Windows opened onto endless voids. The house itself had become a trap, a labyrinth controlled by Evelyn's laughter. They stumbled into the living room, and there she was, perched atop the mantel. Impossibly tall, impossibly wide, a shadow of the girl they had known, yet monstrous in her perfection. "Do you like my house?" she asked, tilting her head. "You live here now, forever." The walls began to close in, breathing, contracting. The air thickened, and their screams were swallowed before they left their lips. Evelyn laughed, high-pitched and jagged, echoing through every bone in their bodies. And then, silence. So complete it was worse than noise. The mother reached for Thomas. His eyes were black, empty, and in the reflection of the fireplace, She saw what they had become. Shadows trapped in her world, her amusement, her eternal audience. Evelyn tilted her head, the grin stretching impossibly wide. "Good. Now we can all laugh together."
The sun never rose in the Morrow house again. Or, if it did, it brought no light. The walls pulsed, the floors heaved, and shadows slithered like living things. Evelyn's laughter echoed endlessly, weaving through every corner, every crack, every surface. Her mother and Thomas moved silently, trapped in the rhythm of her amusement. They no longer spoke, no longer screamed. The house had taken their voices, leaving only thoughts, and Evelyn's laughter filled the gaps. She appeared everywhere at once, sitting on the staircase, leaning from the hallway, reflected in every mirror, crouched atop the fireplace mantel, dangling from the ceiling. She was smaller than the house, yet larger than reality. Every breath she took made the walls shiver. "You look so pretty when you're afraid," she said, voice tinkling like broken glass. "But you'll get used to it. You'll love it eventually." The mother clutched Thomas, feeling the coldness of his body seep into her own. She tried to whisper, tried to pray, but words failed her. Every syllable was swallowed by the walls, thrown back as Evelyn's laughter. From the fireplace, Evelyn's face appeared again, wider, taller, monstrous. She leaned forward, speaking directly into their minds. "I buried myself once. They cried, they wept, but I am not gone. I am never gone. You tried to bury me, and now I've buried you." The floors buckled, the walls twisted, the ceiling dropped. The house became a tomb, a cage, a world entirely under her control. And in the center of it all, Evelyn laughed, the sound too vast, too jagged, too alive. The mother tried one last thing, to hold Thomas close, to shield him from the terror, but the boy's eyes were empty, black mirrors of her own grief. Evelyn hovered over them, her grin impossibly wide. "Now we can laugh together," she whispered, and the walls themselves seemed to giggle with her. The house shuddered violently, collapsing inward. Yet the mother and Thomas did not fall. They were suspended, caught in the space of Evelyn's amusement, part of her world forever. And outside, the sun rose as if nothing had happened, but the house was gone, vanished without a trace. No neighbors saw smoke, no firemen found ashes, only silence. Inside, somewhere beyond the veil of reality, the laughter continues. The girl who laughed at her own funeral has found her audience, and now they laugh with her.